Okay, so now we have Patty, and she's going to make her Patty's peanut sauce. Um, so Patty has been helping us for many years, especially since the pandemic, but even before that, she was part of PlantDiego. One day she came up to me in a potluck and said, "When I retire, I want to volunteer." And I'm like, "Well, I heard that before," but she was serious. Talk about sassy. And so she has been like instrumental in helping and just bouncing ideas off so she's retired. She's also traveling all the time with her husband. They're avid hikers and avid rock climbers and campers and all that. But when she's around, she's 100% here for us. Patty's great. And here she goes. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, so I found this sauce in another Instant Pot recipe, and it was a one pot, which is like very alluring to me. Like I don't have to dirty anything else, just the Instant Pot. So I put that in the link in the recipe. There's a link to the original recipe, and the original recipe actually uses oil to saute the um the garlic and the ginger, whatever. And I just ignore that. I just use water to saute, and it turns out just fine because the peanut butter has plenty of fat in it. So anyway, I recommend that recipe. But I kind of just took that sauce and I've just made a sauce for other things. Like my husband and I will cook brown rice and cook a bunch of other veggies, and then we'll put whatever sauce we have. So it's always in my refrigerator. It's always ready to go, and it tastes so good on cooked kale, cooked chard, collard greens, and that's what we often just cook in the Instant Pot, and then we jar it up so it's always available, and then we put whatever sauce we want. So anyway, let me start with the ingredients here. Sorry about that. It's making noise. It was a Thai peanut sauce, and I start with garlic. It usually I use a lot of garlic. I love garlic, and I put in the recipe. I put 1 to 2 because I thought, oh, people don't like as much garlic as I do. I love garlic, but I usually use 3 to 4. But I'm using only 3. I restrain myself. Anyway, I usually use maple syrup, and I get this maple syrup from Costco, which you could see I get a lot of it. And I'm pretty sure you could use agave if you wanted to substitute that. The Again, rice vinegar. I got this Maricon from Ranch 99, so that was I usually get the big bottle. And I use miso paste rather than soy sauce. And the reason why I use the miso is Dr. Greger recommends miso because it's fermented. And so even though it is got a little saltiness to it, it's the good parts about the fermentation, the fermented soybeans, it kind of compensates for the salt. So he recommends that over soy sauce. And then I put okay, so I put peanut butter. I put a half a cup. Now, a lot of people they're trying to decrease their oils because they're watching their cardiovascular health. So you could use less, maybe a quarter cup, or I believe there's like powdered peanut butter, which has less fat. So, but I use a full half cup. So it's up to you. And then I like it. I use a half cup of water because I like it to pour over all my food. You could put a little ginger, and I don't think I put that in the recipe, but you could use a little, like a half an inch or an inch of ginger because it kind of gives a little tanginess. And my
The
husband,
recipe said ginger powder,
oh yeah,
but
ginger powder,
you
yeah,
can, so I use ginger powder, but you could use fresh and just grate it or
yeah.
whatever.
I don't grate it. I just put it in the blender and it works.
Oh,
And then
blender, yeah.
yeah, like, okay, so now I use this sriracha. This sriracha, it doesn't have that green top that you usually see. It's the one that you get in the regular Chinese stores. It's full of like preservatives and maybe MSG. So I like to get this from OB People's Market. This sriracha is what is it called? I don't know what it's called. It's just called organic sriracha. But I like this. I like this one because it's got fairly clean ingredients. Okay, so I'm going to not put it in my blender. I'm going to use my jar. And I bought an immersion blender, and it seems like it's a little easier because, when you get it in the blender, you have to clean it out. And this just so easy to use. And then I just put it in my refrigerator. So anyway, I'll start with the garlic and then the maple syrup. I put a quarter cup and a quarter cup of rice vinegar. Then it's the miso paste. I don't measure it out. I just kind of eyeball it. And this is about a tablespoon. Put that in my jar. Then I put in the peanut butter. Put in the water. And I'm going to leave the ginger out today. I'm going to put my husband likes the sriracha. So now, this is a Vitamix immersion blender, which I got recently, and I love it. So see, it's all in the jar. I don't have to clean out the container. It's right here. And then I uh, I put this together beforehand, and it has brown rice. Uh, you know, uh, cook the mushrooms. Always eat cooked mushrooms, and don't eat them raw. We cook the broccoli like every 2 or 3 days, and I chop it up and I let the sulforaphane, which is a cancer fighter, develop before I cook it. And then okay, so then I have some soy curls right here, some soy curls. And then to top it off, I have raw stuff like the bell pepper, arugula. We love arugula, and green onions and carrots. Okay, so okay, somebody asked, what's an alternative to sriracha that isn't so hot and spicy? Well, you could just leave it out. You don't have to put it in. And sometimes I like to put a pekin because if I don't have the sriracha, well, we have a bunch of pekins to make it spicy, but you don't want spice, so just leave it out. You don't have to put the sriracha. Okay, and so then I just pour it over. And that's my dinner. And it's just so easy. And I could I put it on spring rolls. And, like I told you, I cook collard greens and kale and chard together. We just put it in the Instant Pot and we have it in the jar. And sometimes I'll just have that, a bowl of these greens and my sauce. And it's so tasty. It kind of you don't taste the bitterness of the greens. So
So, and then David, I think if you like ginger at all, like the flavor of it, I've found that ginger powder is, of course, going to be a lot less hot than ginger using actual grated ginger.
yeah.
So you might find that that kind of brings that depth of the flavor without
Also,
adding it super hot.
like my daughter, she doesn't like to like chomp into a piece of ginger. So the powder is just makes a little bit more delicate flavoring. And so you don't get that, you know, shock of a ginger piece of ginger.
Yeah. And then my tips, I used to use a lot more fresh ginger than I don't know, for some reason I'm just using powder that now, but you can keep it two great options are chop it into chunks and keep it in the Ziploc bag in the fridge or container. I mean the freezer, and then it's good anytime. Because I've had ginger just go bad and it's kind of pisses me off. And then the other is just to keep the whole knob of ginger in the freezer and then grate it. It just grates so much easier when it's frozen. So, and that it is finer too that way. It does create a nicer, like more of a powdery consistency. Okay, well, thank you, Patty. That looks delicious. And I just wanted to share before I go on is this is my mayo. This is not what we're doing, but Tanya thought about doing this too. But this is such a nice versatile thing just to make this tofu cashew mayo. And it's the light's kind of weird, but it's so good.
It is
And it is
beautiful.
so versatile. You can make anything you use with mayo, of course, like a ranch dressing or on a sandwich or whatever. And it's so the calories are don't even compare. It's like 19 calories versus 120 calories or something like that per tablespoon. And it's in both of the
Egg-
books that I've contributed to recipes.
No eggs and oil.
No eggs, no oil, just tofu, cashews, and then a bunch of not a lot though. It's very simple. It's like I said, talked about memorizing recipes. This one's super easy. It's Dijon mustard, apple cider vinegar, and miso.